Hello everyone, here's how to open up and reseat the keyboard connector on this Dell P83G, possibly also Reg Type P83G002 and part number XXP2CA01, manufactured in 2019. This is also known as a Dell Inspiron 7380 computer, and it's an 8th Gen Core i5. So I'm going to start by removing all the visible screws all the way around the edge and this one in the centre. I will start with the one in the centre. And then, just in case the screws are different lengths, if you've not seen my videos before, I tend to put the screws out in the layout that they came out of the machine. So when I go to put them back in, they're in the rough layout of where they need to go back. Because it doesn't seem to happen so much these days, but in the early days of low-cost laptops, manufacturers would use different length screws at different points in the case. So if you put the wrong length screw back in the wrong place, you'd end up with like a broken out bit, punched out bit in the palm rest or something. So those are all the screws removed. Need to open up the machine, which in my instance looks like it's still on, but I'm going to leave that on. Now, using a thin palette knife or spudger, need to go in, down the side, and gently unclip all the way around. So apologies, you can't see this bit, it's on the bit that's off the edge of the table. So I've gone around all of the bits I can get to, except for maybe this bit here. There we go. Going to move that up, and you can see that it's coming away here. Close the machine, and that cover has just very conveniently come away. So what we've got here is a broken plastic standoff. That'll be from somewhere on the underside of this. So this machine's been, yeah, there it is, right there. Has been clonked or has been damaged at some point, and that has snapped off. We've got the BIOS battery is there. CPU fan. I would say wireless card, but I don't think so, because, no, there you go, solid state drive. I was going to say you'd have the aerial cables if that was the wireless card. So that's the storage, so essentially the hard disk or the solid state drive, and it is 256 gigabytes. I'm not sure what technology, whether that's NVMe or M.2. I've got the main battery here. We've got one speaker here, one speaker over here. CPU will be underneath here. That will not be user replaceable, that will be soldered onto the board, almost certainly. video connector off to the monitor or the screen there, and several connections. This one here is LEDs for the power light at the front. That one there is almost certainly the touchpad. That is the battery. That could be a keyboard backlight if this keyboard is backlit, and this one is almost certainly the keyboard. I'd like to see the whole ribbon cable going into the keyboard, so I'm going to remove the main battery, or at least move it out of the way. So let's undo what looks like 4 screws on the edge. And the speaker cables run along here, so I do need to unhook those. There we go. Okay, so the ribbon cable for the keyboard really doesn't actually go under the battery very much at all. So to undo the keyboard lead, there is a small black bar that runs along here that will hinge like this. So I'm going to get my fingernails under each end of the bar and just flip it up towards me. There you go. So I don't know whether you can see that. That is now locked down back where it should be, and that is now flipped back up in the unlocked position. I should now easily, without pulling a lot on this, be able to unplug that keyboard connector there. What I'm going to do is use switch cleaner on it. The reason I'm doing this is some of the keys do not work, and I'm hoping, rather than having to replace the keyboard, which will probably mean an entire new palm rest, or certainly a lot of work to get that keyboard out from under there, I'm hoping that just cleaning this edge connector or ribbon connector with switch cleaner may revive those keys. I would say it does look like there's a lot of corrosion, or some corrosion, on this connector. If you look about there, the colours are a bit weird towards the upper end. For good measure, I'll also do the keyboard slot. And using the ribbon itself, I'm just inserting it and removing it to try and move some of that spray across the contacts. And plug it back in. Wow, there's a little bit of like there, permanent marker. That WD-40 contact cleaner has definitely dissolved that off of the plastic. So while we're in here, yeah, if you needed to change the storage. It's that component there. If you needed to change the RAM, you cannot, because I think underneath this bit here and this bit here is probably soldered on RAM. Changing the battery looks like it's very easy. It's just that connector there and 4 screws. BIOS battery, although I'd expect that probably to last the lifetime of the computer, but it's there if you needed to. If you broke the power connector, it's this doobry here. So power goes in there, and that's the jack. So if you had the power connected and then you tripped over it and you smashed the connector in the laptop, then you can replace just this little metal can and this lead that's attached to it. Probably just by undoing that screw there and possibly that screw there. Right, before I put it all back together, I'm going to see if that has solved the keyboard issue. If it hasn't, I will have to see how much a replacement entire keyboard is going to cost. But it's a good sign so far that it's working. So earlier I couldn't type the letter N, and I can now. Looking fantastic. So that's lucky for the customer because there's no expensive keyboard replacement, and it was as simple as corroded or bad contacts on the motherboard. And this machine wasn't a total nightmare to get into as well, which is also very nice. This broken standoff I will leave on there, because having a broken standoff, no, it's over there, is going to be nicer to screw into and look nicer on the underside of the machine than not, or than having no standoff, because the screw will be very recessed compared to the rest of them. So put the case back on the underside and then just gently press around the edge. Now we get every screw again and put it back in. So this is the one over here with the broken standoff. So that's doing absolutely nothing to hold the case together, and I will leave it just in there so it looks like there isn't a screw missing. see whether the keyboard still works. And the answer is yes. The keys that were not working previously are still working. There we go. Hopefully that video has been helpful to you. If it has, it would be really helpful to me if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my YouTube channel. You don't need to have the video notifications switched on, but the subscriber numbers are really helpful. Thank you very much.